tell you guys I'm recording this conversation. Yes, I did. I have a very beautiful announcement to make. This is the updated version. This is one of the books of the updated versions of Ancient People. As you can see, I have changed this book. This book is much smaller because it is one book now of two books. Okay, so this is the workbook version. As you can see there, it says workbook. This is the textbook version, reader version. So I split the original book, which was 349 pages large. I split the original book in two, as you can see here. Originally, it had a spiral spine. It's a very large book, right? And I have now split that book into two books. I've also done the same thing for the paperback version. I'm just waiting for the updated version. So you can see now we have a tabletop version that's very sleek, and much thinner than the original, but this is also full color. This one is 260 pages. This one is 179 pages. So for parents or homeschoolers, you can purchase one book, right, the textbook, and then purchase multiple workbooks if you have, multiple children, or maybe you're in a co-op homeschooling type situation. So it gives you a lot of different options. Also, this book is right now, the price that the books are at, which I've been selling them for. This is an introductory cost. So as of June 2025, the cost is going to be going up. For the reader version of the book, I have the workbook version right now on sale for $33, or not on sale, listed as $33. And that price is probably going to be the same because I think that's a fair price. It's full color and very specific to the book in terms of vocabulary, in terms of worksheets, Q&A, critical thinking, word search, crossword puzzles, right? All of the bells and whistles, but it's full color. And then this book is 260 pages, full color, but this is just the reader version. So all of that has been taken out of it. The price on this book is going to be going up on the hardcover as well as the paperback version in June of 2025. That's going to give me enough time to get the inventory in that I need in order to do the marketing and all that other stuff that I need to make this book successful. So from now, which is March 9th, 2025, up until the beginning of June, the cost of this book is $111, and it is available on my website. The paperback version is $88. And again, this is an introductory price. And as of June 2025, that price will be increasing. I'll be sending an email out to those of you guys on my email list, as well as posting on my social media channels to let you guys know what the increase will be and all of this stuff around that. All right? All right? Cool. You see how I did that with my hands. I'm not praising Satan. Just one thing about the conspiracy world, or it's like you see anybody doing this and it's automatically like, oh gosh, she works for Satan. Like, no, it's a normal hand gesture that people make sometimes without even thinking about it. Does that not mean that celebrities who do it are paying allegiance to Satan? Like, no, they're absolutely doing that. But little old people like me, it's just a random hand sign that I just did to transition myself from what I was thinking about into the next thing. So sometimes it's that deep, and then sometimes it's not that deep. That's why I'm always talking about discernment. Having discernment is super, super critical. Okay? So that's all of my announcements out the way. And once again, thank you guys for the super chats, for the contributions to my well-being, and showing your gratitude and appreciation for my work. What I want to talk about today, or what are we talking about today? What everybody is talking about. Miss Doja, or Doechii. I said Doja. Freudian slip. And you can see from the images on the main cover here, and this was something that came out. I talked about this in a previous episode, but she never really got this never trended. Nobody ever really talked about this, but this was really, really weird. Paper Magazine featured her and had her on the cover dressed as a man. And there was multiple other images, but these two images just basically make the point. And people will say, oh, it's art. It's just, it's not a big deal. Okay, I understand that argument, especially for a magazine like Paper, because that's what they do. It's shock and awe, right? But now that we're having this conversation today, this gives a little bit more context, because I don't know if she dressed like a straight man. Is that a gay man? I don't know. But if you don't like men, why are you dressing like a man at all? because I'm getting the vibes from this woman that she doesn't like men. So just some context here. She is 26 years old. I would not have guessed that she was 26 years old. I thought she was younger than that. I would have thought she was maybe 20, 21 years old, not because she necessarily looks young, but her content, her music is very young to me. It's kind of like pop, teenager kind of music. I'm not a fan of her music. I will say that. It just doesn't do anything for me. But I am a fan and have been a fan of her creativity and her uniqueness and her obviously promoting Black culture, right? All the dancers are Black, the hairstyles, right? Certain aspects of the clothing, I valued and appreciated all of those things. Now, mind you, some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, I was not aware of, but I don't have to agree with everybody, with a person, an artist on every point. And at the same time, be against them, right? This is life. It's always interesting to me when people say, "Oh, I don't agree with everything you say." I don't agree with everything anybody says. So you guys don't really have to say that, because I'm pretty sure if I had access to listen to you all the time, I wouldn't agree with everything, maybe even most of what you have to say, right? So I don't need to agree with everything that this woman says or does to be able to still appreciate that she's a beautiful sister, she's talented, all of that good stuff. This type of stuff right here is just weird to me. When I talk about clown shit in the culture, this is a perfect representation to me. In the same way she said in the article that she doesn't really care about what people say or think about her, well, that's the same way I feel when I make statements like that, okay? I know that because we're going to talk about sexuality in this conversation and then the male-female dichotomy, and again, this is a trending topic, so people get in their feelings, right? I had a back and forth on social media. I've been active in the comments for the last few days because sometimes I do that, and it always works out well for me. And then people are like, "Well, why are you wasting your time trying to convince these people of anything?" I don't like when y'all do that, because I'm a highly intelligent woman that makes her own choices and decisions, and if I decide to speak on something, it's because I want to, right? And I'm not really commenting any of this stuff to reach Doechii or to try to change anybody's mind or to I hear so much. I'm in other conversations there's a lot of very, very strong anti-Black woman sentiment in the airwaves. I don't know if you guys see it, but I see it all the time, right? As well as anti-Black male, right? So I am engaging in these conversations to let these young brothers know, all men, but particularly young Black men know, yeah, women like me do exist. Yeah, I'm not going to allow certain shit like this to stand on my watch. I will address it. We've become way too neutral and respectfully soft when it comes to addressing things. We're just letting way too much stuff just kind of flow by and acting like it's not going to happen. And then we get to this point where we have young Black women talking about straight men being a red flag. And now all hell breaks loose, but there was 1,000 other things that we let float by us and didn't address. And then it starts to escalate. And then we get to this point. So no, we do need to start confronting some of this stupidity, this ignorance, this silliness, which is the reason for this conversation today. Let me just check something to make sure real quick. Okay, yeah. All right, so Doechii, the stage name of Jayla Jemiah Hickman, is an American rapper and songwriter who blends 1990s hip hop with contemporary themes. She first gained recognition on TikTok for her song Yucky Blucky Fruitcake. Now, when I say I thought she was young, it's stuff like that. Yucky Blucky Fruitcake. What does that even mean? I don't know what video. Again, I'm not tapped all into this. So, and I don't need to be tapped all into this to make the points that I'm making or to say what I'm getting ready to say. I have enough information, okay? But just the title alone, it feels very high schoolish. And mind you got grown women following this, but I digress. And following the TikTok videos is one thing, but like following this mindset, this culture, in 2022, she signed with Top Dog Entertainment, becoming the first female rapper to join the label, known for artists like Kendrick Lamar and SZA. Her music has attracted the attention of several record labels. Now, That's just a basic Wikipedia breakdown. It shows that she's signed to Top Dog Entertainment, or TDE, and Capitol Records. So I don't know why it mentions that she's attracted the attention of several record labels. But y'all know I bang with Kendrick Lamar heavy. Just like Kendrick and everybody else, he's still, we talked about the flip side. Okay, you working with Jay-Z. Jay-Z works with Satan. We know that. So be careful, my brother, right? The Louis Vuitton fashion show that he did, I thought it was very, very dope, very, very fly. I also noticed at the end of the show, they had a huge rainbow flag. It was done during Pride Week. Kendrick has been open about his relationship with his aunt. He talked about it in one of his songs. People talking about their personal life experience and family members, that could be promoting agenda, yes, but it's also family and his right as an artist to talk about what he wants to talk about, right? So it's again, I don't have to agree with everything you say or do. If the majority of what you are speaking on, I feel like represents something that, first of all, I like the music. And then second, that's moving the culture forward, then I can bang with that. Now, the minute that we get off track with that, then we're having a different conversation. I don't worship celebrities. I hold these people the same level of accountability that you guys watching me have in terms of our culture, in terms of representing something better to raise the consciousness, to assist our daughters and our sons with, in their consciousness and making their lives easier in this life process. It's the same thing. So you guys, a lot of you guys hold celebrities accountable in ways that you would never hold yourself accountable, which I find very hypocritical. So again, I don't need to agree with everything Kendrick says or does, but the minute that something slick or sideways happen, then we're going to address that too. Because these people are not to be worshipped, and entertainers are supposed to be entertainers, not saints, not gods. So, okay, that's all of that. Okay, she's from Florida. I would have thought she was from LA. I guess I thought that because of the Top Dog representation. Kendrick's not on Top Dog Entertainment anymore, so there's that. The whole UMG, we've talked about that before. All of the Drake stuff, I'm not going to get into all of that. I'm not really a fan of SZA's music. Just doesn't really jive for me. I think she's a beautiful, talented Black woman, and wish her all the success in the world. I've definitely seen some representations in her videos and in some of her online content that I've seen that's suspect. And when I say suspect, I mean representing a different type of agenda. But again, I don't know enough about SZA. I'm only talking about her because the TDE, Kendrick Lamar, right? All of these things are kind of running parallel, and so it's relative. And Kendrick and SZA are going on tour too, so there's that. I would love to go, but I'm just way too cautious right now in terms of being in large crowds of people. That's gonna have to wait for me for another time. So this topic about this video, which I'm going to play in just a second, and in the back and forth I had on Shade Room, I'm going to show you guys some of those comments. I had two conversations, one on I think it was Red Pill or Blue Pill's page. I said the same thing on both and got very different responses, right? Which is just amazing to me. But on the Shade Room, I'm going to show you guys some of the commentary. But this thing about like, why are you so vexed about her life, her choice? Nobody's vexed about any of this. Nobody. I'm not sitting around pulling my hair out and jumping up and down and screaming out the window. Nobody's vexed about any of this. Intelligent people can come together and have conversations about what are happening in our culture, and we can just express our disagreement, or dare I say disdain, or whatever that information is, however the feeling conveys itself. And then when I finish the video and we have the live and we have the conversation, I'm gonna go and probably take a walk outside before I have to do my group meditation. I'm going to do my group meditation, and then I'm going to move on with my night. This is not going to live on in my day or in my spirit. When you worship celebrities, it's that serious for you. And it's ironic that so much time and energy gets put into defending these celebrities, but if you were online talking about a tragedy or a trauma in your life, these people would not even see it, let alone defend you. So the question is not, why am I so vexed about this? The question is, why are you so vexed about me expressing my perspectives and opinion, not about what goes on in her personal life? I don't really care. I don't follow her on social media. I've seen the, she's trending. Everybody's showing her love, dope videos, love the Black representation, all of that good stuff. But like, yeah, it's like if you were an artist and you put up beautiful pictures on Instagram, you know what I mean? And I liked your pictures, like it's the same thing to me. It's not, I don't hold these people in that type of regard to be pressed about that. So let's just nip that in the bud right there. And then what was the other thing I wanted to say? I guess it'll come to me. So the concept of red flag, and I put the definition here because I know that in the back and forth that I've had, the response was, she's just stating her preference. What's the big deal? No, when you identify straight men as a red flag, that is not just stating your preference. A red flag is used as a warning of danger. A red flag is used as the symbol of socialist revolution. Obviously, that's not going to apply here because there's nothing revolutionary about anything. If anything, if anything, this is a devolution or a devolving of culture, right? I'll get into that later. But so stop with the word play and the word semantics. This is a big boy, big girl conversation. So let's just nip some of that in the bud out the gate. If I said gay men or bisexual men are a red flag for me dating, first of all, I would never say that. Why would I ever say that? The possibility of me ending up on a date with a gay man is 0 to none. So why would I ever say that? It doesn't even make sense. So the fact that she injected that into the conversation has a very demeaning, disrespectful undertone, which is why we're having this conversation now. So the red flag denotes warning. The red flag denotes danger. A red flag to me in dating, even though I don't really date, but a red flag to me would be a man who doesn't take care of his children. That is an absolute no-no. A red flag would be a man that doesn't have a good relationship with his mother. I won't say that's a no-no because sometimes it is the mother's fault. And she could be a wicked, type of person that eventually he just had to let go. But okay, well, do you have positive relationships with any woman in your family? Aunties, nieces, cousins, right? Grandmother. There have to be some healthy organic relationships with women in your family or women that you have serviced and assisted somewhere along the road, right? Otherwise, that's a red flag. For a man, a red flag should be a woman that doesn't take care of her children or puts men in front of her children. That is something I have never, ever done and will never do. That, no, I'm not going to get into that. Anyway. Yeah, my brain just went somewhere, but I'm going to bring it back. So the whole concept of red flag, and how she threw this into this conversation, just let you know that there is some disdain, there is some disgust, there is some displeasure. And I don't understand it at all. Because don't you have a father? Do you have brothers? Do you have uncles? Do you have cousins? Are they straight men? Like, why would you even inject that in the conversation? I'm not going to talk about gay or bisexual men in any capacity when it comes to my dating life. I'm just not. So
okay. That's my biggest dating red flag. Is it being on the DL? You're on the right track. I have my answer. Is it close enough? You want to guess one more time? What would be a red flag for me? Bad music taste. Oh, that is a good one. Because that's one for me. That is a good one. Like, that's not what I put. Oh, listen, I'm Michael Jackson. But okay. This is a huge red flag for me. All right. I was gonna say men. Strike one. You're a man. Yeah. Heterosexual. So technically, because my mind was already there, I don't think I deserve to eat a wing. I think you do, friend.
I don't think we
Ladies and gentlemen,
listen to you anymore because I've had to watch this video several times. You know, everybody's sharing it, everybody's talking about it. I had to find the video, download the video, upload the video. I don't think I want to hear anything else you have to say because this is the level of brain cells that I have lost in terms of having to address this and look at this. Not to mention the fact that Club Shay Shay is sharing. I would never watch an interview of Club Shay Shay and Amber Rose, but you know, on Instagram they put the little clips up. So the clip comes up, it's like 60 seconds. I'm looking at the subject, I watch it, and it's just like every time I see this, I lose brain cells. And this is how I feel when I watch these females, and I don't care if they're Black women or not. She said that a straight man is worse than a man on the DL. Now let's just contextualize that. A down low man is a man who is hiding his sexuality, who has a wife or a woman or maybe a wife and children at home, right? Now, Oprah Winfrey was one of the main ones to back in the days who sort of spearheaded this. The guy who wrote the book, the whole situation in Atlanta. She comes on his show and now all of a sudden it's everywhere. So a down low man who is living in the closet, who is lying to his wife, who is lying to his family, who is living a complete and utter lie is better than a straight man. Do you see the psychosis here? And then she said the fact that you're a man, strike one, right? And it was kind of like, well, I would assume that you're interested in bisexual men, right? Because you emphasize straight men. So why aren't you emphasizing the fact that like gay men or bisexual men? I don't, even me trying to understand all of this is making me feel silly and stupid because none of this makes absolutely any sense. And if we were in an environment where we were raising our children to think for themselves, to have discernment, not just our children, we're talking about grown women and men nowadays. This isn't even just about, you know, the future of our children. We're talking about the future of humanity. The silliness, and dare I say ignorance or stupidity, is at an all-time high. This type of stuff is why Donald Trump is such a, you know, I say he won the election, but he didn't win the election. He was selected, but like they all are. This is one of the reasons why he's become so prominent, why people are cheering for him, because it's not just the lesser of two evils, it's the lesser of two stupidities. And when you have a president coming forward and saying, yes, there's only two genders, and then we're all kind of like breathing a sigh of release because duh, you're getting credit for shit that duh, and people are cheering you on for things that are like duh, right? So, but this is one of the reasons why he is so popular now, because he speaks about silly things like this. So what I noticed after the Grammys, this video in the middle is the day after the Grammys, and I like the still shot here because I can be able to, I'm going to play the video in just a second. So in New York Fashion Week, this is a humiliation ritual that happened the day after she was awarded with the Grammys and had that big performance and everything. I like the performance. I don't really like the doing all the stuff in your bra and panties. That's just me. I'm old school, but it's not just that I'm old school. When you understand the history of the way that this country and these people in particular relate to the Black body and the Black woman's body in particular, please go read Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington. It's not a book you read, it's actually a study book. But that's one of the books, along with 100 Years of Lynching, which talks about it, particularly from the male perspective, which this whole scene I'm getting ready to show you guys gives me major slave auction vibes, right? So wait, before I get into this, let me say this because I meant to say this on the first slide. I haven't really been that vocal about her because, and maybe I talked about her in a couple of videos before, but I've been nuanced in handling this topic with kid gloves because it's so necessary to see dark-skinned Black women in positions of success, in positions of creativity, in positions of, you know, showcasing their talent, all of that stuff, right? I'm a light-skinned woman who came up in a very dark-skinned family. My mother did not raise me. My mother's family didn't raise me. I said light-skinned, but my mixed race, so biracial. But then in the Black community, nobody really knew I was biracial because my Black family raised me and my mother wasn't around. So it's not that I was hiding it. It just wasn't relative to my reality. Growing up in Oakland, I grew up in Brookfield. That was my neighborhood. So I went to an all-Black public private school, Hope Academy, right off of MacArthur Boulevard. I'm not sure if it's still a Black private, I said public, private school, all-Black private school from preschool up to the 5th grade. From 6th to 8th grade, I went to St. Elizabeth Middle School, which is a Catholic school, etc. Right? So, but I grew up in a family of dark-skinned women, dark-skinned men. So my father is very dark-skinned. He's darker than Doechii, actually. So I've always considered dark skin as a standard of beauty, a high-level standard of beauty, right? So I don't have a lot of the issues and, you know, personality particulars that a lot of mixed race or light-skinned women and people in this culture and this society have. I just don't, right? So I've been nuanced about this conversation because I know that a lot of the attention and praise that she's gotten from the Black community is because she is a beautiful, talented, dark-skinned woman who is representing our culture, our people, and I'm here for that, right? So sometimes, you know, some things are just better left unsaid, right? Again, I talked about the paper magazine cover. I think I only talked about that in my membership channel, though. I didn't talk about it publicly because, you know, let's let the culture win and whatever happens, happens, right? So there's that. I want to make sure I say that because the colorism in this conversation has to be discussed because in the same way, so I'm giving you that aspect of it, right? In our community, then you have this video here in the middle of this humiliation ritual. Please understand, when you see this sister on the Grammys and she's in her bra and her panties, white people do not admire and respect the Black woman's body the way we do. They don't. And so this to me is mimicking a slave auction, this video that I'm about to show you guys. Now notice her socks, whatever they are, right? Toes are out. This looks like she's been walking for 10 miles, right? Maybe this is Balenciaga, probably Balenciaga, which kind of underscores my point. This is where regular, talented, beautiful people go to be turned into MK Ultra sex slaves. They showed us all. How anybody is still wearing Balenciaga is absolutely beyond me, but speaks volumes to the programming. But you have the shoes here, right? You have the clothes, which are dirty. I don't think she has on a bra. You're going to see all her ass is going to be out in just a second here. The area around the neck is very dirty. There's areas of the underwear that she has on that's very dirty. She's wearing some type of net, fishnet stocking on her head. Look at her demeanor. Look at her face. Look at her energy. They obviously told her how to act in this video because you're going to see at one point she breaks character and smiles and waves and then she snaps right back into it, right? So I'm assuming this guy is a bodyguard. He seems more protective of her in a healthy way. This dude right here is not only a handler. Watch his body language. Watch how he touches her. Watch how he moves her. Everything about this is strange. It's giving me humiliation ritual vibes. It's giving me slave block auction vibes. It's giving me MK Ultra sex kitten vibes. And mind you, look at all of the people that are standing around watching this. They're not looking at her body thinking she's beautiful or she's in great health or she's a, you know, representation of the beauty of, they don't look at our bodies that way. This is the thing that I really need to underscore for us because there's levels to this. And I'm not saying that we need to be doing things for white acceptance. The Grammys is the white people platform. And we're all clear about that, right? So there's that. This is not about doing things for the acceptance or the validation of white people. This is about understanding the mental and psychological warfare that's happening right now and how our people and our women in particular are being used to keep humanity, not just Black women, but keep humanity locked in a certain vibration and frequency and state of consciousness. So let's watch this real quick. And I might play it twice because it's a short video. I think it's only like maybe 45 or 60 seconds. Okay, well, look at her face. Look at her demeanor. Okay, you see the clothing is dirty. She's wearing underwear. Look how he's moving her. Look at how he touches her. Look at his whole energy around her. Look at her face. Now, she broke character right there for a second. Let's watch it again. She even looks like she's dirty. See how her skin right there, that looks like maybe charcoal or something they put on her to give her that extra, you know, that you guys call it high fashion. She's got a stocking on her head. She's not looking up, she's looking down. Her body language, her facial, everything about this is weird. Everything about this is strange. And then again, pay attention to the faces of the people in the around. Just look at their faces, how they're looking at her. The white women in particular. They look like they didn't even know this was happening. They're just kind of randomly standing there, and then all of a sudden this has happened. Everything about this is strange, and the fact that this happened the day after the Grammys is no coincidence. I'm going to talk about the Grammys in just a second. This video right here is from recently, the other day in Paris. Apparently she got mobbed by a crowd because people are recognizing her. I don't even think it's that people recognize her. I think that people are so engrossed and engulfed in celebrity culture that if they think there is a celebrity in their vicinity, that they'll lose their shit. So watch this.
Passage, s'il vous plaît. Passage, s'il vous plaît. Passage.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, just goes to show you how strong and intense the programming is. Even when Michael Jackson, and I was still am a very, very, very big Michael Jackson fan. The power of his music, the essence of his being, his voice, his dances, everything, all of it was tremendously impactful, beautiful, powerful, wonderful, amazing. Every adjective, positive adjective you could possibly think of was Michael Jackson. But I never understood people in audiences fainting and crying and screaming and losing their minds. I just didn't. So this is a culture, celebrity culture, that breeds narcissism. The same way that I was so perplexed about how Kamala Harris in a 107-day campaign. Her campaign lasted for 107 days. She went from the, vice president, and every now and then you see her. She's not really something that's greatly talked about. She had a run during the presidential campaign when Biden got elected. After that, you didn't really hear from her. I could understand a little bit more the fanfare for Michelle Obama. Michelle can hold her own, regardless of what you think about Michelle Obama. You can give Michelle Obama a microphone and she's going to be able to hold her own. She can speak without a teleprompter, right? She's obviously highly intelligent. She's raised children. She's, a family woman, obviously, all that. You can say what you want about her, but, she's athletic. So there's things about her that makes it make sense that a lot of people would be pulling for her, especially women, especially for Black women. Kamala just didn't understand it at all, even in her campaigns. I mean, the fact that she had Megan the rapper in front of an audience of tens of thousands of people, and she didn't do that. Let's be clear. These people aren't calling the shots. The shots are being called for them. Just like Trump, we're all, flabbergasted at the insanity and audacity of this dude, but he's not really calling any shots. None of them really do. But in 107 days, Kamala went from somebody that's always playing the background to like a full-fledged superstar. I was like, damn, this programming is like, I have to catch my breath. But it's the same way I feel about Trump. You guys know I'm equal opportunity when it comes to politics. They turned Donald Trump into a mixture, a blend of Tupac and Jason Bourne. So he attempted on his life. He got shot and lived. He went to jail. He's a felon now, but he's still running the country. He's got the swag and the gold tennis shoes and talk shit and abrasive and cocky and all that good stuff that the quote alpha males are looking for reminders of what alpha manhood looks like. So that's one of the reasons why he's had such a high draw in all races of men, because they're tired of these weak ass representations of manhood in television, in film, etc., etc. Pick your choice. Social media, all of it. There is a dynamic of manhood in America in particular that is very, very tired of all of this weird shit. So they're going to go with the guy who represents the machoism and the bravado, so to speak, that thing. So it's a hell of a program, and they're very successful at it. But celebrity culture breeds narcissism. What are all these people? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I've never met anybody that and in my idea, I would think like spiritual leaders and thought leaders, and I don't expect everybody to think of it the way I do, but I don't get it. I've never gotten it. I don't. But they make people focus on celebrity culture, so you're not focused on yourself. You're living vicariously through the talent and beauty of somebody else and skill set of somebody else. There's 1,000, and that number is hypothetical. It's not a real number. There's so many talented Black women on social media. There is there's this one sister I follow who does crafts, beautiful stuff, playing instruments, singing, rapping, fashionistas. I mean, there's so many. So yes, this is beautiful. She's talented. She's lovely. All of that. She represents something that is very readily accessible in Black culture, if given a chance. So those women and those girls, and the brothers too, but just to make the point, don't have access to, the financial infrastructure to go and buy the flyest clothes, to have makeup artists doing your face so every time you step out you look like $1 million, to get the best hair weaves or the best braids or the best different hairstyles, and you walk out the door and you look like $1 million. Yeah, because you paid a lot of different people to help you look like that way. It comes with the culture. I get it, but I don't understand this. This culture breeds narcissism. Even you can see her face and her energy as she's up looking down at all the people below her, just like the crowds that are in the stadiums and they're up on the stage and everybody's looking up at you. It's the savior-like element taking place. So when she sits in this interview and so bravely and stupidly, to be honest, you know how many Black men have been campaigning for this sister since she won the Grammys? The comments that I got, I told you, the Shade Room versus the other page that I was posting on. A lot of brothers have been campaigning for her. She completely alienated a large part of her audience. Why? That's not even a good business move. What was the benefit of saying that? And if she had a PR agency, right? Because this is what PR is supposed to do, right? Oh, you said something that didn't really feel good. Let's go back and clean that up or correct that. You think they're going to do that? Absolutely not. Because this is the agenda that they want to push forward. They want to separate Black men and women. They want to keep us arguing online. They want to emphasize I have another slide I'm going to talk about this, the splintering of human consciousness. This is what they want. And as long as you go through the humiliation ritual, you can be our front person. So this is the conversation on the Shade Room, right? And so you can see they highlighted this comment here. If Doechii thinks dating a straight man is a red flag, that's her prerogative. It's her dating preferences. We got to stop being mad at not being an option for everybody. I guess that says BITCH is a non-issue, honestly. Nobody's talking about her preference. Once you bring up the title of red flag, you're unnecessarily introducing, identifying a whole subset of your people, your uncles, your cousins. I mean, unless all the men in your family are gay, then that would be a situation that would be worthy of extreme and intense psychological study. I'd want to know what they're putting in the water. I'd want to know what type of food are you eating. Is it genetically modified? How many men in the family took the shot? I need details. So the fact that you have straight men in your family, I'm going to assume, and you just completely alienate all of them? A straight man, it's like me saying a gay man is a red flag. All hell would break loose if I said that, which, I wouldn't care, but I would never say that because I would never be in a position to date a gay or a bisexual man or any other thing that males or men or whatever, however they identify, that will fall under that category. So that is one of those things that does not need to be said. So I could ask her, why are you so vexed? What did Black men do to you? And I'm going to get into that point in just a second. But let me rewind this video real quick so I can read you guys some of these comments just to see, for the queens that are listening to this, the type of stupidity that we're up against.
Okay.
So you can see my comment here. Hence the reason she's everywhere, taking nothing away from her talent or beauty. The day after the Grammy, she was in a public humiliation ritual. They only promote the ones that serve their agendas. So here comes this person who is a white woman, which I didn't even bring that up because it's not necessary. I don't need to make this about race because this is bigger than race at this point. It's about race for us. But for the outsiders, we'll keep that out of the equation. Let's just talk. Anything that's not straight is an agenda to y'all. Y'all feel like y'all deserve to be the center of attention, even from a queer woman. Yikes. Oh God, please just help me. I feel like I was born out of time. I don't know. I'm so glad I wasn't born in the social media era. I'm so glad I've had a chance to experience the world before all of this clown shit. I said, why is a queer woman speaking about straight men? Did you miss that part? I can assure you that we are not spending time focusing, thinking, or considering what's going on in your world. Try it. He or she or they or whatever. That's a lie. You have created entire slurs against the queer community. Should I list them? Also, she was asked a question about her red flags. A straight man just happened to be one of them. You can't get mad because she doesn't desire, admire, or want you or your straightness. Get over it and stop being so sensitive, just like you have historically told queer folks. Oh God, please help me. I have followers in the LGBT community. They're going to be watching this video. They're welcome here. I'm not one of those people. I'm not, but I'm me. I've been open and honest. I'm old school. I'm pro family, pro black family, obviously. When that comes to the male female dichotomy, that goes without saying, you know, that do I even need to get into all of that? But I also know on a soul level, there's levels to this. My soul is not a black woman or a biracial woman or a woman. My soul is infinite intelligence. All right. So there's on third dimensional reality, these things are relative, but then there is a level above that. Whatever your experience is in this timeline, gay men, trans men, woman, bi, all this shit, straight woman, it's only relative on a certain level for your life experience here. So if you can rock with me and accept my truth, because truth be told, a lot of people in the LGBT community are fed up with all of this clown shit. They just want to live their lives in peace. They don't need to announce their sexuality when they walk in the room. They're not beating people over the head with accepting them or validation. They're just trying to live in peace. Those people are welcome here. So, you know what I mean? If you can learn from me, if you find value in my teaching, and as a spiritual student, a spiritual teacher, a spiritual liaison, it is incumbent upon me to be operating in a space of love. That's what the mother of civilization is supposed to do. But I'm operating in a goddess state of consciousness. These things are different. Well, how I always say, you have woman, then you have good woman, then you have queen, then you have goddess. This person that I'm talking to, I don't even know if it looks like a woman, but I don't know what it is. I wouldn't even, at this point, I don't even know if you're a good woman. Because if you're a good woman, then you're going to care about the representation of womanhood and how this is going to affect the girls and the daughters coming up behind us. You're going to care that the promiscuousness in the language and in the culture and the representation of women half naked all the time. And so now our daughters are starting to be half naked all the time, which increases the probability of them running into some insanity or chaos or wickedness. They don't have bodyguards. They don't have celebrities watching out for them. They got to live in the real world. I care about them. You clearly don't. She was asked a question about her red flags. Preference is one thing. If we were just saying preference, again, it doesn't need to be, I don't need to say I don't prefer gay men. It's just not, it's not in my bandwidth of consciousness to even be considering those things. Anytime I have a conversation about men, a conversation about relationships, gay men, bisexual men do not come up in the conversation at all. It's like a gay man saying a straight woman is a red flag. That doesn't even make sense. Now, if a gay man said a man who is, you know, too sexually promiscuous or doesn't have a clean house, or those things make sense. Red flags are warning signs. A straight man is not a warning sign. He's the reason why you're here. He's the reason why I'm here. And I know there's layers of this now. We've devolved in a lot of different ways. So now we had to have a conversation next to the conversation. There has to be footnotes next to everything. Cliff notes next to everything. And please understand, I don't do politically correct. I say what I feel and I feel what I say. And I mean what I say. That's why I know the people that are in the LGBT community that follow me. You know what I mean? You got kahunas, because I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it, and I can still respect you, and I can still show you love, and I can see you can take the best part and leave the rest. That's what I do with everybody. I'm waiting for this to continue to move. Meanwhile, you're online arguing with High Value Man. Okay, you're talking about the video that I did. I wasn't arguing. I was, you know, speaking to a camera. All this research. So he or she or whatever went to my channel, etc. I responded. It's just the silliness of this. And then this person, who I didn't even go to his or her or their page, this whole comment is so hateful and ugly. Wow. This comment also furthers. Okay. This comment also furthers that person's whole point, because why are you so pressed about every part of LGBTQ plus that you start throwing shade at people who have nothing to do with Doechii or what she said? Now, what this person is talking about is, let me just back this up a little bit. Well, I don't need to back it up. What I said is, I was talking about the pronouns. I was talking about the what is a woman conversation. I was talking about all those things that are sort of being projected and enforced in terms of how all of us relate. This isn't your world. This isn't my world. This is God's world. We're all living here, sharing space and trying to figure it out and on borrowed time. So the fact that everybody now is walking on eggshells about how pronoun pronunciation and being respectful and all of those different things, yet there's no other subset of the human family that is getting that much sort of catering and posturing and softness. Everybody's under fire except this community. How is that possible? This is how you know it's a part of the agenda, because the government, all this stuff is happening in parallel with a global takeover. The United States government is not pro anything or anybody. So if they're spending continuous time, resources, energy, money, etc., to make one particular subset of humanity or the culture feel better, feel more welcomed, feel more loved, you should have enough information now, enough data post 2020 to understand that this is a part of a bigger agenda. So yuck, all of the conversation about what I said. So what? I don't care. I said what I said. Now what? Just the silliness of this conversation is just so like, anything that's not straight is an agenda to y'all. That thing. Hold on. Not yet. Anything that's not straight is an agenda. I almost feel silly for even like reading this stuff. Like, anything that's not straight is an agenda. I'll get to that in just a minute.
Doechii, baby girl, let's talk about it. For those who don't know what I'm about to get into, let me catch you up. The rapper Doechii recently said this on Hot Ones.
My biggest dating red flag. I mean, strike one. You're in. Yeah. Heterosexual. Yeah.
And before you go, oh, it ain't like you had a chance with her anyway. I don't want to date Doechii. Doechii does cocaine on camera, and then she raps about it and does performances about it, and they push that music to the children, and these children will idolize her because she's a star and she's making drug use sound cool. Now, for me, dating, that's a red flag, because I believe red flag speaks to caution or things to be suspicious of, and so character and actions lead to that. Now, I think that works for me and her. I wouldn't want to date her. She wouldn't want to date me. I don't care. My thing is, as a Black woman, I think you should find it problematic that someone would say that they're cautious of you just for being, because that's something Black women got to deal with all the time. So as a straight man, you just saying me being me is essentially problematic. It's something that I hope you change in the future, that you can see that you said and maybe word it differently and stick to like characteristics that speak to character. You know what I mean? Like allowing your boyfriend to put a gun to your head and tell him to pull the trigger just to show that you trust him.
Do it. I love you.
You love me?
Yeah.
You trust me?
I fucking trust you. Do it.
See, I consider that to be problematic behavior. That would be a red flag for me. But I don't want to sit here and act like I'm perfect. I exhibit very problematic traits. Like, for example,
if you were offered $10K to sleep with me in my bedroom for 2 weeks every night, what would you do?
Hell no. I would never need $10,000 that bad. But if I needed $10,000 that bad, I would just sell drugs. Yes, I know drugs like hurt your community and people's family members get strung out on it and it hurts people's lives. But I wouldn't like spread the drugs amongst many families or anything like that. I still have a heart. I would get my $10,000 by selling like drugs to rich people who can afford to spend like 10,000 on drugs, and then I'd just be selling to one person. You know, I'd probably just sell cocaine to Doechii.
So,
oh yeah,
okay, I'll cut that off. So first of all, I didn't even know about the cocaine thing, and it looks like that video at the end was her tooting her nose. Again, I'm old school. With the cocaine, you see the clip there of her with her boyfriend clicking a gun. Again, I didn't know any about that. How was any of that not been brought up? But now things are kind of making a little bit more sense, that we're obviously looking at and dealing with someone here who is not mentally all there. And then do you think fame is going to increase the likelihood of those issues, or is it going to resolve the likelihood of those issues? Whether we like it or not, Black women have a greater responsibility than all women. I think as a Black woman, if you, again, woman, good woman, queen, goddess, they're not the same. All deserve love and respect. All are God's children. You know, this not an equality or a superiority thing, but they are not the same. So when I say Black women have a greater responsibility, then that would apply to a woman versus a good woman versus a queen versus a goddess differently. So when you say, I don't care what people think about me, I don't care how you feel about what I'm saying or I'm representing, even if it has a negative impact on the culture, we're not dealing with a queen. Goddess is not even anywhere on the table. A good woman, we could make an argument for that. I'm not abreast with her enough to be able to make that assessment. And my judgment is just for the sake of this, or my analysis is just for the sake of this video. I wish this sister nothing but the best. And then I don't need you guys to write me and tell me Ryan Davis is a cornball. I think that's his name, because I know he is. I agreed with him on this point. I follow him. You know, I like the stuff that I like about his, because he is funny. And then there's some other stuff where he'll come and it's like, yeah, I don't think this guy likes women. So there's that. But again, I don't have to agree with everything if somebody says to relate and to listen. I think one of the biggest issues is that women aren't listening to men anymore. And I know for sure that men are not listening to women anymore. I mean, the amount of consistent kickback that I get, I'm addressing the problems that you have. I'm addressing the clown shit. I'm addressing the ratchet ghetto, all of that. And you still find a way to have an issue and start a fight or try to start a fight with a goddess. It's very perplexing. So I showed this Ryan Davis clip for two reasons. Number one, to be balanced and to listen to what men are actually saying and the way that these type of things affect the male-female dichotomy. And then also to recognize that a lot of the super all-time high anti-Black woman sentiment is fueled by these type of things. Again, I don't know why she would annihilate or alienate a very large portion of her audience, even if it's just Black men showing her love on social media. That has to be good for your promotion, for your album sales. Why would you alienate them? That was so stupid and unnecessary. And now we have this. And I'm just going to show these next two videos of Slim Thug and Akon, which I've shown both of them before. But if you guys ever wonder why a lot of Black women are turning against Black men in particular, these are two prime examples. And these men are at the forefront, meaning people are listening to them. People care what they say. People find them fly and interesting and convincing. I don't. But again, I've said this before. Black men need a new PR manager. And I'm saying that, you know, it's a joke, but then it's not a joke. I remember I saw, and I feel like I played this in one of my videos, but it was a post on social media that said, a question for women: what would you do if there were no men on the planet for one day, right? And I'm reading through the comments, and there's thousands of comments, and the comments have thousands of likes, and the girls and the women are like, I would go outside dressed any way I want to, and I have to worry about getting harassed. I would pump gas in the middle of the night without being scared that, you know, all things that I've felt before. I was at a gas station in Lithonia one time, and in Georgia. And I was on the phone with one of my homeboys. Then we were talking, and I pulled up, and it's like 10 brothers. Yeah, you know, they at the liquor store. So it's a vibe there, right? And they just outside, you know, chilling, doing whatever they're doing. And I need gas, but it's not late, but it's 9, 10 o'clock. I'm not getting out this car. And I pulled off and he was like, damn, that's sad that our women can't even like feel safe enough to pump their gas, whether it's night or not. Like, yeah, this is a reality that a lot of women have to actually deal with. Our APE culture is a man's problem. That's not a woman's culturally, that's not a women's issue. That's a man's problem. And the fact that men collectively have never gotten together and addressed it on a major scale is one of the reasons why there's so much anti-Black male sentiment in the ethers, in the culture right now. I'm reading these comments of all these different races of women and people were, you know, as a woman, I'm reading this and I'm like, yeah, they mean this shit. The cat calling, all that stuff y'all like to do, it's not really appealing. I've been getting that since I was 12 years old. So all of this stuff is relative. Then you come into the Black conscious community, and that's a whole other conversation. Because, let me back that up. Not Black consciousness, because that's a misnomer. Whatever representation we have of Black so-called conscious community, that whole thing, there is a very large underpinning of anti-Black woman sentiment in that world, and it doesn't really get addressed a lot. This is why there's a lot of lesbians in that community. No disrespect, but they don't want what you guys have to offer anymore. That's a whole other layer of the LGBTQ conversation that doesn't really get talked about a lot, because then people have to start going to the root of the issues. Now we got to talk about sexual abuse. Now we got to talk about what was going on with your mother, not only how she raised you, but how was she eating before you were conceived. Now we got to talk about your father and the condition of his mind and his sperm before you were conceived. All of that's relative. Where did you live? Well, what are the environmental circumstances? How were you raised? All of it's relative. But when I tell you that a lot of these females that don't like men anymore, that, dare I say, hate men, which please understand that is not me. I'm equal opportunity. I have a son who's a young man. So the importance of the condition and the state of affairs for Black men is equally as important to me as it is for women. And I don't want to be anywhere where there's only women. No disrespect.
Black men, we are the number one wanted man on earth. We are the number one wanted man on earth by all races of women. Snow bunnies, whoever races outside of Black women are going to give it up to us. We don't have to play no games. Like, we go somewhere at night, and we talk, look at us like, ooh, you know. Black women tend to do obstacle courses. Even if you ain't got no money, you are still the king of the earth. We are the most dominant gene. If we busting any girl, it's the baby is Black. Even though we want our own Black women tend to put us through obstacle courses. Right? But Black women like the, oh, you gotta wait, oh, we celibate, oh, you gotta buy something, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. White women ain't asking for nothing. Homing you up, we don't have to argue. They gonna go. Because they look at us like, I just wish I could have myself. Not just white women, all women. Y'all gonna have to let y'all up and guard down. You might have to help get to the bridge. You're gonna have to give it up at least though. We ain't waiting, because we know all the other women want us. And for the easy, everybody went to college. Here in the city, know that. Everybody knows that. You can't lie to us about that no more. It ain't nothing to talk about no more. Y'all know them other girls don't go.
Oh God, where do I start? You know, I wish more men would address these type of things so I don't have to. And I'm not saying men haven't, I just haven't really heard a lot of you know, the amount of energy addressing Black women issues by Black men is absolutely at an all-time high. I think Slim Thug and Akon deserve their own Black male focus group. I've said before, you know, we need to get together and nominate a king of the FUCK boys. They need to have a king. There's a few in the so-called conscious community that I would recommend off top, or maybe it's not the conscious community, Black Power, Black, etc. Yeah, they would definitely be at the top of my list. But I would absolutely nominate Slim Thug and Akon. Somebody want to start this poll? Could somebody please start this poll? All women want us. No, I can assure you all women do not. There's nothing attractive about you to me at all. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much fame you have. I don't care about any of that stuff. You could have a real estate portfolio the size of Texas. There's nothing appealing to you about me. To me, about you, to me. Pardon me. He said, oh my God, I've lost brain cells in the process of watching this. So let me just let me drink some water and get my bearings. I'm not making this conversation about Black men. I'm telling you why the anti-Black male sentiment is heavy right now, because this type of clown shit is going unchecked. You need to give it up. Aren't you like 50? At this point, at some point, you know, I don't like when people call me auntie because I feel some type of way about that. I'm still healthy and young and vibrant. I think my body is physically, and my mind is physically, I could run neck and neck with myself when I was 25 at 45. But that's not the point. Oh, it was something else I wanted to say about that too. Let me go back to this. Back to Mr. Ryan Davis. When he's talking about being under attack simply for being you, right? He's saying, I'm just a straight man. How did I catch a bullet in this? You're not talking about a particular subset or a particular ideology or way of thinking. You're just encompassing a whole entire subset of Black men. Why are we catching stray bullets? Well, the same thing can be said when you have males or social media influencers that will just fire off a stray bullet. I say stray, but actually it's a direct attack, saying that women over a certain age have no more value. Did Ryan make a video about that? Did any of you guys talk about that? After a woman gets to a certain age, she no longer has any value. She might as well be giving it up for free because ain't no man gonna want her. Again, a high quality man and a high value man are not the same thing. And if you don't know the difference, then I'm probably not talking to you. So how you just gonna completely identify a whole subset of God's children and tell them they have no more value? Again, the king of the F boys needs to be determined. I'm not gonna even say that because you gotta have a certain level of respect for people that have transitioned and are no longer here. So let me just stay on track. But I needed to say that. So he's talking about sex. He said, why do a man have to work to have access to your honeypot? He didn't say that, but that's basically what he's saying. What? Do you have a daughter? Do you have a mother? Do you have a niece? Do you have cousins? Are you telling the women in your life that they need to just be giving it up? All women want us. No, those white women see you as brutes and sexual playthings. They're not taking you home to meet their parents. Their fathers don't respect you. Their mothers don't respect you. They know once they bring a Black man into the household that it automatically devalues them in terms of their family, in terms of their culture. So yes, they will FCUK with no problem, with no delay. That's always been a goal. But will they respect you? It's not the same thing. But I don't expect Slim Thug to know that. He said we have the dominant genes. You're right. Rest in peace to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who was one of the main proponents of the dominant versus recessive gene. She took the work of William Shockley and Mendel Leakey. Don't quote me on those names because it's been a while since I did the knowledge to this, or I've talked about this stuff for so long, but she went and took that idea of the dominant versus recessive gene, and then she went in and created a psychological infrastructure and a psychological, right? Yeah, a psychological sort of infrastructure to help us understand racism, white supremacy, which was centered on the dominant versus recessive gene. Now, that doesn't only refer to men. That also refers to a Black woman who has a child with a white man or an Asian man or etc. That child is going to be a melanated child. And depending on how strong her genes is versus how strong or weak the other partner's genes is, but this is going to be a child that is not going to be identified as a white child across the spectrum. So this is not something that just applies to men, respectfully or with no respect, because you haven't really earned any. Now, is the dichotomy of the sperm versus the womb relative? Absolutely. But I don't want to get too deep into the semantics of the science. But if anybody wants to challenge me on that, we can have that discussion too. So dominant genes is one thing. Weak sperm is another. Now let's talk about, I said God is in the details, but do you have dominant sperm? Meaning, is your sperm going to create a high vibrational, powerful, great, intelligent being, whether it's with a white woman or a Black woman? Now, your way of life in terms of the alcohol, drugs, etc. I don't know what this dude is into. I don't follow him and I don't really care. But the rap game, that culture, that the promotion of the alcoholism and all that other stuff, and the more promiscuous you are as a man, and this actually applies to men more than women, and I can make this argument if we need to break this down too. The more promiscuous you are, the weaker the quality of your sperm. That's a fact. So you around here laying into all of these random white, Asian, etc., just spreading your seed and your life force energy. I can assure you, you have weak sperm. I don't need to really do the knowledge. Now, I thought we were talking about Doechii. We're going to the root of where this mindset actually comes from and why a lot of these females hate men. They don't know how to discern the difference between a queen and an FCUK boy. Just like a lot of these males and these men don't know how to discern the difference between a queen and a concubine. Here's another one that's in the running for my vote.
The woman, her role is to support the man. The man, we are the kings and the divine of this universe. A woman can never compare to the man. They have to understand that here in America. The women don't create life. They support the creation of life. The man is who create life.
Every time I say it, they laugh.
Man, we're gods. We the ones that create life. And let me give you an example of the science of it. A man right now can create life without a woman, but a woman can't create life without a man. If I wanted to create life right now without a woman, I would just shoot my sperm, put it in the incubator, and just give it 9 months, even maybe less with today's science, and a baby will be born. A woman can't do that. So men, we are the creators of life in actuality.
God, please help me. Somebody, please. I don't even drink. But this is the type of shit that would make me want to have a glass of wine. I'll just settle for my water right now. I've been trying to get people have been trying to get me to do debates for a long time. And I don't have time for that because I got a few things that I would debate, and most of the things that I would debate are not on the average person's list. So it's not even worthy of talking. I would debate Akon. And I know he doesn't do that. And I know what I'm saying is not going to ever go anywhere. But I would absolutely 1000%, I would do it for free. I would fly myself to wherever the location is, because this is not an online thing. I need to look you in your face and sit across from you as you spew this level of stupidity in the name of Africa. Senegal, but Africa still. Now he's building a crypto city. And I have that's a whole nother thing, because China's backing that. But let me stay on subject. Oh my God. And then Joe Budden. Oh, I try to say it every time I try to say this. Nobody wants to listen. There must be intelligent people listening to you. The fact that there was no feedback. Women in America need to get this. No, your wives need to get this. Stay over there with that. You got wives in America, Maybe they'd be happy in Senegal. I don't know. I just, oh God, please. Is this real? See, water seeks its own level. To me, Doechii and Akon are equally yoked. Maybe they should be together. Or she doesn't like straight men. But he doesn't give me straight man vibes. A lot of these guys don't like women. For a grown-ass man with daughters, and I'm pretty sure he has daughters, to sit up and say women could never compare to men, I would never say men don't compare to women. I wouldn't even think, like, what is the competitiveness? Why don't you like women? These guys don't like women. Psychologically gay. Is he sexually gay? I don't know. I don't care. Psychologically gay? For sure. They'd rather be in the company of men than women. I'll never understand it. I'm a woman and I don't even rather be in the company of women than men. I love my sisters. I love to be around righteous, intelligent, high vibrational women. But yeah, I need some brothers. I need some masculine energy. I need some balanced perspective. I need some male wisdom. Women don't create life. Men create life. I mean, I can run the science on this, but at this point, it's almost like you see a person arguing with a fool, and from a distance, you can't tell who's like. Plus, I've already talked about this stuff. So again, if I need to run it, I can. But the fact that he brought up an incubator, he's talking about science and technology now. I nominate Akon, and now I can put Joe Budden in the conversation too, even though I don't think Joe Budden is strong enough for this, to be honest. I don't listen to him a lot, so I don't know. He wouldn't be in my forerunning because I don't listen to him, so I don't know. But just this comment alone, I don't know. Honorable mention, I nominate Akon, King of Senegal, as one of the king of the FCUK boys. He's high priority on my list. This is why a lot of these females hate men. This is why they don't respect men as a collective consciousness, because we allow this type of weirdo shit to be active in our culture and it doesn't get checked. And then you got another man sitting next to him co-signing this stupidity. You guys don't like women. Eventually it was going to come to a point where women weren't going to like men, not me, but them. I've been dealing with and battling this mindset for a very long time now. I know it all too well. And contrary to popular belief, it's not just the Akons and the Slim Thugs. Some of the top grossing meaning in terms of monetization, in terms of likes and interest on social media, in terms of the black male dichotomy, these dudes do not like women. And I just don't understand. Just like I don't understand women who don't like men or who blame everything on men. That's weak to me. Where's the self-accountability? Where's the self-awareness? I think women are too powerful to blame everything on men. Respectfully.
I just finished watching Sam Smith's performance at the 2023 Grammy Awards, and I think it's fair to say that Hollywood has finally gone too far. This was the most overt display of Satanism, yes, Satanism, I have ever seen on network television. And if you have a better word to describe it, then please provide it to me. But I don't know what else to call it when you have a guy wearing devil horns, with people in devil horns and devil costumes on the stage. People in cages, fire spewing out of the back of the stage. At a certain point, there's no other way to describe it. I think it's time for us to all stand up and finally tell Hollywood that we are sick of this content. We're not going to keep engaging in the promotion of this. I don't want my kids to see it. I don't want you guys as kids to see it in the future. Enough's enough.
So it's not just the Sam Smith, and now I'm going back to the Grammys. This was back in 2023, this whole satanic performance. All of the celebrities who sat in the audience, including Beyonce and Jay-Z, and watched this performance, never said anything, never batted an eye, never made a movement, because they can't. So we need to make sure we're contextualizing and putting Hollywood and celebrity culture in its proper context. Eventually, there is a check that was cashed that's going to have to come due in terms of what you owe. Like Doechii, her check came due the very next day. That's why she was in a humiliation ritual. All the people who sat in that audience at the Grammys and watched that programming and that satanic operation were in a humiliation ritual. They had no power to do anything about it. We're going to see a lot of that this year because the celebrities are going to keep the mainstream in terms of the collective consciousness focused on them to keep us distracted, yes, but to also keep them contractually due. Not contractually due, to make sure that they're paying what's due for the contractual agreement, which is your soul. So Killer Mike last year, after he wins the Grammys,
I just finished watching Sam Smith.
Rapper Killer Mike led away in handcuffs in Los Angeles hours after winning the Grammy Awards. You can't tell me this is not a humiliation. Now, I've heard Killer Mike talk about this, and he's talking about suing and blah, 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 and all of that. Mind you, somebody named Killer Mike. Once you became a political commentator, did it ever occur to you to drop the killer so you could be taken serious? And mind you, Killer Mike became prominent in terms of that world with the NRA stuff, and he was schmoozing with the whole other people and culture that really didn't have anything to do with hip hop or Black culture. That's not the main point I want to make here. Right after the Grammys, he gets arrested. We think that's by chance, by happen chance, and it's all on video. And they're showing this man handcuffed and walking out. Just total humiliation. I heard Jaguar Wright say that Jay-Z was behind that. Yeah, exactly. Jay-Z's playing at a whole different level on the pyramid. And then here we see John Cena walk out naked.
Costume design by J.T. Yates and Dave Crossland. Costume design by
You can look at his face. I didn't show the whole. He walked out naked with the card covering his genitals. He looks so uncomfortable. Humiliation ritual once again, and then ends up in a dress. And everybody's looking. Oh, it's just art. It's just Hollywood. They do weird stuff. Does anybody actually think this man really wanted to do this? This is why conceptual, how much time and energy we give these people, how much focus is critical. If they're playing a role in an agenda that is hypnotizing the masses, that is programming and desensitizing our children, that is keeping the issues between men and women, Black men and women, if they're exasperating those energies, if anybody is worth canceling, and I'm not saying cancel, I don't even believe in canceling. How you gonna cancel something God created? People have tried to cancel me on multiple occasions, and yet here we are. I don't even believe in the concept of cancel culture. But if you're going to be adamant about canceling somebody, shouldn't it be somebody that's doing harm to the collective consciousness? We had a hissy, the whole DEI thing with Target and boycotting. I'm here for that. I think it's a great, agenda, movement, etc. But when they were selling baby onesies for infants that had a pocket for a bathing suit for a girl who's really a boy, so there's a pocket in the well, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, in the shirt, you know how onesies have an opening, right? Mothers, fathers, you change your baby's onesie, you can unbutton it in a certain area and then pull it back. It makes it easier to change the diaper. They had a onesie with a specific pocket if it was a man, it would be a man who is tucking, right? That, you know what I mean? We didn't say or do anything about that. Jonathan Majors, you guys were so happy When he won his case, that was the whole humiliation ritual. I knew from the very beginning nothing was ever going to come out of that. He's not going to jail. They're just going to humiliate him for 6 months or a year and air out all his dirty laundry and make this white woman look like the damsel in distress and give you guys something funny and entertaining to talk about for a certain amount of time. And black people cheered and hooped and hollered once he was, found to be not guilty. And now all of a sudden him and Megan Good are married. And yes, hashtag black love. Meanwhile, we totally forgot about the fact that this guy was in this weird ass Ebony magazine shoot where he was clearly being effeminized. And that's just one picture. I don't need to nail this point home because I've already talked about this before. But again, look at how they play these celebrities. You guys were so happy about Young Thug, which I don't understand why, because this dude is clearly a nuisance to the culture. I don't know what he is now. Everybody can be redeemed. Everybody can come back. But he made it cool for gangsters to wear dresses. Is this where we're happy our culture is headed? And then we get distracted by the race baiting and the race-based element of a black man being convicted or being charged and all of that and completely forget about all this clown shit. Will Smith allegedly slaps Chris Rock in front of the world to defend his woman. And everybody's like, yeah, that's real. The black man standing up for his woman. This is what we need, all of that. And then next thing you know, Will Smith is a slave. He's in a humiliation ritual. Which if he's in a humiliation ritual and he's being punished, why is he being punished? Oh, because he slapped Chris Rock and he wasn't supposed to slap Chris Rock. Or was he under MK Ultra? And they said a key word that activated him to get up on the stage and practice. It was either that or him and Chris Rock had it planned, or Chris Rock got caught off guard and Will Smith. I don't think any of that was just by chance. Why? Because of the semantics and how they handled it. There was no real major interruption in the show. It was just almost like it was a part of the programming. But that's only a part of it because now he's a slave. Rihanna. Her and A$AP Rocky just went through a humiliation ritual. Here she is posing as a nun. Does anybody think she really wanted to do this? She doesn't look beautiful. She doesn't look glamorous. She doesn't look happy. This is weird and strange all the way around. There's nothing fly about this. There's none of that. This is giving MK Ultra sex kitten vibes. And humiliation ritual vibes. And then you have A$AP Rocky in the Gucci campaign a couple of years ago, and I've talked about this before, portraying a homosexual man. Why would a man or a bisexual man, why would a man who has a woman and children, or I think at that time a child, be representing himself as a bisexual man? Oh, it's just art, it's just theater. He got paid $10 million. I don't care. Aren't you rich? What does the money matter after a certain point? Look at him laying on the dude's chest. Is this black manhood now? You guys are cheering for these people. So Rihanna is a perfect example of how beauty, talent, skill set, all that stuff, she has it all. I can acknowledge that. I don't have to pretend like she's not dope and she's not beautiful and she's not eclectic and amazing. Yes, I can, but I can also acknowledge that, yeah, she's in a contract. And so is he, and so are all of these people. This is why the amount of time and energy we give celebrities moving forward is going to have to be very, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, but for real. I'm team God. Anything that is anti-God, anti-culture, anti-love, anti-family, meaning nucleus family, yeah, it's going to have to get put on the mat. Respectfully. These are the LGBTQ plus pride flags and what they stand for. Now, let me pause this for a second and give a footnote. And back to what I was just saying about the humiliation rituals, just so I make sure I make this point. how they're dragging celebrities and how this is going to be a part of the mainframe in 2025 and was part of the mainframe really starting in 2020. Look at how they used celebs during the alleged plan, PLAN, demic. I mean, Ellen is a great example, but it's the same thing with Andrew Tate and the influencers. And they're going to use certain influencers like Alex Jones, like Candace Owens, like Andrew Tate, the exact same way, but in a different type of way. Because they know that there is a large focus in terms of the collective consciousness on these people. So now all of a sudden Florida's coming at Andrew Tate. For what? I thought Florida was a red state. I thought these were Trump's people. Why are they trying to pursue Andrew Tate? Because a lot of people are paying attention to Andrew Tate. So welcome to the program. He has millions. He's been effective in terms of being, the algorithm is not going to promote anything that these people don't want them to promote. I'm not taking anything away from his impact or how many people actually listen to him. A broken clock can be right twice a day. I actually have heard him say plenty of things that I agree with, but I can also see that he is 1000% out of alignment with the divine feminine. And everything that's out of alignment with the divine feminine is getting taken off the set. We can prove it in 1,000 different ways. I don't just mean men, I mean women too. That's why we're here having this conversation about Doechii. So now he's a part of the reality TV show. He's going to get a whole bunch of energy and attention in podcasts and interviews to talk about how they're coming after him because he's a truth speaker, because he's powerful, because he's waking people up, and this is why they're coming after him. Really? I know when the algorithm wants to shut you off and keep people from listening to you, I went through that for 2 years. People could not find my content at all because of me speaking out about that shot and that whole entire agenda and Fugazi. Couldn't find me at all. So I know for a fact that if they really want to censor you and keep people from listening to you and hearing you, they absolutely can. So if you're the #1 most trending person on YouTube or on Google, my name has been searched this many times and my videos are being watched, that's because the algorithm is supporting you. So here we have the flags. Oh, and this was the other thing I want to say. This is not a, this is why I think people in the LGBTQ community rock with me, because a lot of them are not with all of this. They just want to live and be in peace and not have to deal with all of this. The commercialization of it, the projection on children, the focusing your way of life down everybody else's throat, the pride parades and the extreme promiscuousness. And you got children in these environments where men are walking around with their penises out and people are walking around butt ass naked. Who's taking their children to these type of events? I've had conversations with people in the culture that are like, y'all ain't with none of that. So you see all these different representations of this flag. And this is an article that I've used before in different headline news episodes. It's probably a more extensive line of flags at this point. But you can see this article is telling you what these different flags represent right now. Remember, it was just one flag at one point, the rainbow flag. Now we're up to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 15 flags. Probably more than that now, right? Gilbert pride flag, bisexual flag, lesbian flag, gay men's pride flag, drag feather pride flag, bi-gender pride flag, straight ally flag, gay sexual pride flag, heterosexual. Wait, what? No, I know that didn't say heterosexual. Hold on, let's just back that up real quick. Heterosexual pride flag, meaning heterosexuals that are in support of the gay community, which I don't even understand why that would warrant a flag. But God is not mentioned in any of this, but I don't expect God to be mentioned in any of this. Hot pink symbolizes sex. Why is sex a part of the flag? I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of like one of those things that goes without saying. Is it really necessary to say? Again, all of this, the splintering of human consciousness, as I have continuously represented. This is the Philadelphia Pride flag here, the one that just passed that has the black and the brown. And we can thank the Black Lives Matter, which was also a program and a part of this agenda that sort of splintered off into another splintering of human consciousness. But this is the one that always got me right here. This is the transgender flag, pink and blue and white. Transgender flag was first created in '99 by Monica Harris, a transgender woman. Light blue and pink are featured because they're the traditional colors associated with baby boys and girls, respectively. The white stands for those who are intersex, transitioning, or those who don't feel identify with any gender. What does this have to do with children? This is why it's necessary to talk about this. If you don't want to talk about the world these children are coming up in, protecting these children, I mean, we haven't even talked about the whole PDF file connection to all of this. And I'm not saying everybody in the LGBTQ community is representative of the PDF file culture, but if you think that there is not a caveat of this that is relative to that, you have no idea what's really going on. I mean, the statistics of children that are coming up missing in the world. This it's like trying to have serious conversations about serious things in a world full of silliness. It's just the splintering of human consciousness. The closer you are to the center, the freer you are. This is the Kabbalion, a quote. The further away from the center you are, the more in bondage. The 15 flags represent splintering of consciousness. Identify with this, identify with that. You're not, you're different, you're unique, you're not the same. They don't understand you. Dot. But where's God in all of this? This is about keeping you away from the center. So when I talk about Doechii and all this, and I was having a conversation with a friend not too long ago. And we were talking about, she was telling me that there was maybe it was a video, maybe it was a post, I don't know, but it was a bisexual woman that was saying that she wanted a straight man. She's a bisexual woman who wants to be in a relationship, a committed relationship with a straight man. And again, this is third party, so I'm just replaying what she said to me. And so the men in the comments were appalled, like, why does a bisexual woman want to be with a straight man? And you know, her and I were discussing it, and I was like, yeah, why would a straight man want to be with a bisexual woman? I agree with the men. Just like, why would a straight woman want to be with a bisexual man? Now, if you were bisexual at once, or you had a college experience, or you thought you were in a lucid, kind of free-flowing sexual type of energy at one point, but now you're ready to settle down, you want to have children and have a family, and you want an actual straight man, and you identify now as a straight woman, that's a different conversation. But if you tell me you're a bisexual woman or a bisexual man, that means you have a preference for men and women, not past tense right now. I'm bisexual, not me. I'm talking about the sake of conversation. I'm a bisexual woman. Identifying that way means I like men and women, not in the past, right here, right now. If you're a bisexual man, that tells me I can be with a woman or I can be with a man. Now, I always assume, although a lot of this really stems just purely about sex, but I like to give the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to assume that you have a sexual preference for men and women. You have an emotional preference for men and women. You have a mental preference for men and women, and maybe even a spiritual preference for men and women. One of the sisters that I used to follow, who has a very large following, who is a dope, beautiful writer and all this good stuff, she's a Black woman. I don't follow her anymore. And this is why I don't follow her. I didn't know she was a lesbian. One day in her story, she puts up that the highest and best sexual experience that a woman can have is with another woman. I'm sorry, what? And at that moment, I realized, and I had already had an inclination before, but I didn't know, right? Maybe, but maybe not. And that wasn't even important at the time, because so what? If she is bisexual or gay or whatever, she's dropping jewels. I like her spirit. I like her energy. That ain't got nothing to do with this. But when you actually say in public, and you got hundreds of thousands of followers, that the highest and best experience that a woman can have sexually is with another woman, now all of your work is in question. Because what? We know we could use science and biology to reframe that narrative and say God is in the details. It's only a man and a woman that can actually have a child. Now, when you introduce science into the equation, which is what one of the kings of the FCUK community, aka Akon, just said, as well as some of the comments that were on the responding to me in terms of the shade room conversation, where they were like, a bisexual man can get with a bisexual woman and they can have a child, or a gay man can get with a bisexual woman, or a bisexual man can get with a gay woman, and all that shit. Or if you squeezing sperm out after you jacked off to a magazine and putting it in a turkey baster and then injecting that into a woman, that's further away from the center. We're not in the center anymore. We're not in the organic, original way of life. We're in a totally different realm now. We got to have a different type of conversation. So why would a man who is straight, unless you just want to have a wife in an open swinging relationship, unless you have a sexual proclivity where you and your wife, she can get down with other women, you're not bringing any men into the equation, but as long as it's you and her and you guys have an agreement, you can have other women. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about the center. I'm talking about the highest form of love, relationship, magnitude, expression, which is the man and the woman. Polar opposites, different ends of the spectrum, masculine and feminine, check. Penis and vagina, check. Sperm and ovum, check. I could even, this Akon. Ugh. Let me stay focused. Father and mother, check. Manhood, womanhood, check. All of those different things. This is not judgmental. We're just dealing with the facts here. Sometimes you have to go over the basics because people are so damn intelligent now. It's making them more stupid. So this is a spiritual teacher that has hundreds of thousands of followers. A lot of females and Black women are listening to this. And you said, what? Unfollow? I've heard enough. So a straight man would obviously prefer a straight woman because a bisexual woman has needs that you can't feel. Am I interpreting that wrong? I'm talking about identifying right now as a bisexual woman. That means maybe it won't happen today, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. You might have an itch that you want to scratch that I can't fulfill. I'll never be a woman. Same thing with a woman being interested in the bisexual. It's just not a straight woman. Why would I be interested in a bisexual man? You have needs that I cannot fulfill, that I'm not even interested in fulfilling. Let alone the fact that a portal has now been opened, and you know what I mean? That's got to be addressed. A portal has been open for a bisexual woman too. It's just a different way. You know, you have the male-female penetration aspect or male-male penetration aspect. So that's the opening of a portal, but that's just the physical part. There's a emotional portal that gets open. There's a mental portal that gets open. There is a spiritual portal that gets open. Why do you think a lot of people who are in the lesbian or bisexual frequency or state of consciousness don't like men? It's all relative. I find more comfort and more, this is things that I've heard women say. Women are more relatable. I like the softer, interaction, engagement, all of those type of things. Okay, yeah, so a portal has been opened in your frame of reference. Why shouldn't a straight man prefer a straight woman? Why shouldn't a straight woman prefer a straight man? What are we really even saying here? Is any of this necessary to be said? Everything, all of this stuff, go back to the flags now. Go back to Doechii now. Go back to Akon now. Go back to Slim Thug and all of this, the splintering of consciousness. All of this is happening, running parallel with the global takeover. And that whole point about transhumanism, while we think that they're really promoting and supporting and encouraging and inspiring and standing up for transgender, no, this is really about transhumanism. which the building blocks for that reality have already started to manifest in the scientific world. But I digress. I think I've made my point. My goal is to be closer to the center, where love is, but authentic, true love, not the love that's being projected, not the shit that you learned because so-and-so said it, or because you don't like men because men don't like women, or because your favorite social media influencer spends 90% of his time talking about Black women in a negative space. Those dudes are questionable to me, just like the Black women who talk about the negativity of Black men. They're questionable to me, especially if they have sons. What are you talking about? Did you love your daughter more than your son?
The number one problem in relationships is not women. Relationship revival starts with men. I'm a licensed clinical therapist. I see over 1,100 couples every single year. I've been counseling couples for 25 years. The number one problem in relationships is not women. The number one issue in relationships is childish men.
So let's acknowledge the fact that he didn't say all men, even though he did say men at a certain point, but he's emphasizing childish men, which we just highlighted some of the most childish men that have the largest platforms and are getting the most support from our culture. It's fascinating to me how you guys even respect these people anymore. Anybody who has an anti-Black woman, continuity of content, just the same thing with anti-Black male. How are you guys listening and tuning into this shit? I don't know. I don't understand it. So he's emphasizing childish men, so we'll give him that. But the whole idea, and I'm just going to read you guys my comment. I said, I'm a woman and respectfully, I don't agree. We attract in relationships what we are or what we need to grow. I think on a global level, there's absolutely an issue with how men have been raised. Our APE culture, this is a male issue. That is a fact. Lack of emotional maturity and a host of other things. However, a lot of these issues come from their relationships with their mothers or lack thereof. The world has been telling men for way too long that their only responsibility is to protect and provide. Well, there's so much of being a full, well-rounded human being outside of that. It's all coming to a head now because that way of life is no longer sustainable. If we want these conversations to be fruitful, they need to be balanced. Love. I would never, in looking back at my trajectory in relationships, and I've been single intentionally single, because I do have options if I want to exercise them at any point. But I've been intentionally single, not dating, celibate, all of that good stuff, intentionally. But even in looking back at the chronology of all of my relationships, the best and the worst aspects, right? At the pinnacle of being in love, and how did I bump into this? How did I get here, right? From all the far ends of the pendulum and how that pendulum swings. And I can tell you right now, I don't look back at any of those relationships and say the number one issue in any of those relationships was the man. Will never, because we live in a mental universe. Consciousness creates reality. Wherever you go, there you are. That's why when I talk about the passport bros, that whole situation of I'm leaving America because all of the women there are so horrible, that means you ran into all of the worst women in America because there is something about you that is attractive to them. And there was something about those females that was attractive to you. The finger pointing has to stop. I respect this, brother, because it's rare for men to hold other men accountable, but you're doing women a disservice. And of course, all of the comments were all like, yeah, finally a brother, like they're all cheering this on. I'm sorry, but no. Again, woman, good woman, queen, goddess. This is the goddess talking to you now. When you start to get in the conversation about God versus goddess, we're talking about full 100% self-awareness, self-accountability, internal reflection, mastering your emotions, mastering your energy, taking 100% accountability for everything that's happened in your life. Water seeks its own level. Okay, so when you were 20, you were attracting things that were relatable to you at that time or experiences that you needed. When you were 25, same thing. When you were 30, same thing. When you were 35, same thing, etc., etc. There are no victims on a spiritual level. This is what the goddess is supposed to be teaching. And this is why the world is so out of whack, because you've taken women out of spirituality. This is why women hate men. There is so much anti-male sentiment because you took women out of spirituality. You took women out of religion. You took women out of science. You took women out of the upper echelons in terms of where the choices and decisions are being made, government, politics. I mean, we can run the gamut, but we don't really need to. And you created a culture and a condition of anti-male fervent, not to mention the RAPE culture. That is a male issue. Men collectively have never come together and addressed it. You very rarely talk about it. Oh, that's because you shouldn't have wore that short skirt. Shut up. I'm not talking to the fools. I'm talking to the men, the good men, the kings, and the gods. You go sit on the yellow bus and wait for your driver to come and take you home.
We want women and we want men to understand that real manhood and womanhood is godhood and goddesshood. We're creating worlds all the time. Worlds of impoverishment, exploitation, degradation, violation, sex entrapment. That's being created. And those of us who care, now we can recreate. Because heaven on earth is destiny. Because the earth is already in heaven. The cleaner our bloodstreams, the greater our clarity. The cleaner the air, the cleaner the water. We have yet to really make the connection between our connection with Mother Earth. People think that they're here to save the earth. They say, no, you're not really here to save the earth. You're really here to harmonize so that you can be a blessing while you're on the earth.
When I talk about submission to the divine feminine, I'm talking about submission to that level of wisdom. See, the goddesshood, the goddess mentality, the goddess vibration is not minimizing the value of men or blaming men for everything. We're way too high up the pyramid at this stage of the game. She said manhood and womanhood are about godhood. Please understand that when I have these conversations, when we talk about the male-female dichotomy, I'm looking at it from godhood. When you're in that goddesshood space, that finger pointing shit is only going to go so far. Creating worlds. The RAPE culture is a world that was created, that has been projected, that is continuously being perpetuated on a multitude of levels. This is why when you get up on the stage in your bra and panties, as a Black woman whose body is not respected, not by your own culture, even though we can make that argument in our own culture too. Let's look at the RAPE statistics if we need to get into the nuances of it, we can. But when you're operating in a goddess space, you understand that we are coming through a trajectory of 300 or 400 or 500 or 1,000 years, depending on who you ask and which story you believe, where women have been sexually abused and misused and taken advantage of and objectified and devalued and every possible negative adjective that you want to choose. Black women in particular, African melanated women all around the world, there is a very high level of sexual objectivity and suffering and trauma in the memory bank of our consciousness. There's never been a focus on righting those wrongs. There's never been a focus on collective healing. You can't have a sexual liberation before you deal with that. That's what's increasing the anti-Black woman sentiment. Because now Black men got to go online and see ass and titties all the time, everywhere. How is he supposed to stay sane? How is he supposed to find his godhood? Oh, well, that's not our problem. Yeah, it is, because you give birth to both. Not your problem. Don't think about it that way. as a goddess, I'm not here to invoke a man's lower nature. I'm here to help him find his way to godhood. So if I need to be mindful and conscientious about how I carry myself for the young brothers that are watching me, that are seeing the whole concubine culture plastered everywhere, and he's tired of it, the men are tired of it. The good men are tired of it. The kings are tired of it. The males, I don't know, I can't speak for them. They're not in my frame of reference. I think a lot of you guys enjoy that. Until you meet up with one and have a baby by him, and then you're online arguing about child support and how the man is coming after you because the black woman is the issue. And she's the bed wench because you laid down with a bed wench, which makes you a fill in the blank. I wanted to end with this sister's perspective. Her name was Adama. Her name is Adama Alaji, because she made the whole point. So we got the brother's perspective here, and that's not a balanced perspective. But I wanted to show you guys, because again, oh, women ain't doing this and women ain't talking about this. I beg your pardon. I know how to speak life into men and women simultaneously. I know how to hold men and women accountable simultaneously. I know how to be self-accountable and self-aware and acknowledge that I attracted certain experiences with men because of where I was at in my state of consciousness at that time. I know how to decipher that most of my life it's been the men in my family and men that have looked out for me, and I've had various degrees of traumatic experiences with women, whether it's jealousy, whether it's hatred, whether it's all of those different things. And then I've also had very powerful and invigorating and inspiring relationships with women. And I'm in the trenches at certain points on social media dealing with the FCC UK boys of the world. That's called balance. And I have a son who is a young man. So as much as I love you guys, as much as I appreciate and value women, none of this shit will ever come before him. And everything that I say about men, I have to be able to bounce that off of him first and foremost. All right. So God's world is not going to be spearheaded by the Doechiis of the world or any celebrities for that matter. ZaZaAli.com is my website. info@ZaZaAli.com is my email address. You guys say you love and value and appreciate my voice and my message and my intentions, then support, reciprocate. Ancient People, I showed you guys, it's 2 books now. That's available on my website. I've already made the changes there. The price is going up in June of 2025. I'm on book number 7 now. I have a membership channel. There's a lot of different ways you guys can support me. So please do so. And I thank you for your time and attention. I went 2 hours. I didn't mean to go that long. I have my group meditation come up. So what I'm probably going to do is do the group meditation, and then we'll do this live right after I finish the group meditation. All right. Love to my membership channel. I'm going to get that news segment up for you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. I never, ever, ever, ever take for granted the fact that I can turn on this camera and sit down and have 200 or 300 or 500 people show up. The numbers are always higher when I talk about celebrities, but hopefully the celebrity conversation will bring you here. But the love and the higher level of conversation and the balance and the seriousness of where we are in this timeline and the seriousness of how you treat yourself, how you see yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you're operating in the world is the thing that will get you to subscribe and to stay. All right. Much love, my beautiful people. I will see you guys in the chat room very soon. Peace and love.